Small changes can make all the difference in reducing our environmental footprint, especially over the festive season, just when people tend to buy more of almost everything from gifts to food. Now, at this time, the potential for waste also increases. With that said, what impact does that kind of waste have on the environment? For that, now we bring in Seneo Perry, who is an activist for environmental conservation, and she's also a former Miss Earth Botswana 2020. Ms. Perry, thank you so much for your time on the agenda this morning. So why should an ordinary person be concerned about environmental conservation?
Well, good evening all the way from New Zealand, and good morning to you all in Africa. Thank you so much for having me today. I know we are just about to cross over into the new year, and Happy New Year in advance, guys. I am hoping that in this new year, we do become environmental conscious. So I think as Africans, it's time we do take this topic very serious. I know, especially people my age and in my generation, they think it's a very monotonous topic to touch on. But I think we can all see that there is visible examples that are seen today in our weather. A lot is currently going on around us. We are slowly losing our biodiversity. We have mass extinctions. And as someone who advocates for the African elephant, it has now become an endangered species according to National Geographic. And I think that as young people, it's time that we do take a keen interest in protecting our environments for the future generations.
Indeed, and that's also very important there, what you mentioned. And what little role can one play as an individual in decreasing our carbon footprint, especially at this time of the year when there are so many celebrations, there's so many wastage happening in most households?
I think it all starts with, who we are at home, how we segregate our waste as well. Being here in New Zealand, I've seen that they really do take that very seriously. Each and every household has separate bins for separate rubbish. So I think we should start with that in our households. We should learn how to separate our glasses, our plastics, and yeah, it will really go a long way. I mean, just starting from that, then we can always have like walks and campaigns where we pick up litter, especially in places near the sea, because the marine life is also highly affected by the plastics that is disposed by the sea. So I think it all begins at home.
So now fireworks are a big thing, especially today when we look at all the New Year's Eve celebrations. I want to know, many people actually might not be aware of the impact igniting them has on the environment. So what would you say to people who are fans of using fireworks?
Well, we can't really stop people from having fun. And I think that's where this topic becomes very controversial. And we need to slowly reduce that. We can't really completely stop people from displaying their fireworks because it's been something they've been doing throughout their whole lives. But all I can say is I think manufacturing fireworks that are environmentally friendly could really help us go a long way. I'd really like to see a lot of African young people coming up with such products. I know it is very possible, like Elon Musk has done with Tesla. So I think having an African person coming up with fireworks that are environmentally friendly would be amazing to see, because it's something that it's cultural in celebrations such as Christmas and New Year's. We can't do anything without fireworks. So that's what I have to say, honestly.
Yes, and earlier I know you made mention of some of the little efforts that we can bring together to ensure that, we reduce our carbon emissions as well. And as we have this conversation at this time, it's very important to also include our youth. What conversations should our youth, be having, especially at a time like this, to ensure that they engage actively in environment conservation?
Well, I will give myself as an example. I was recently back in Africa, back in Botswana, and I had partnered with an international fashion designer called Cecilia Kang. She's currently based here in New Zealand. And we had this concept where we talked about involving the creative industry because it has so much influence to actually carry a message of change to the younger generation because they look up to them. They have all the influence. And we partnered on bringing fashion into heritage sites. See, my generation and the younger generation, they're so involved in music, poetry, film, fashion, and that's how we can actually drive them into, bringing this message across or making it exciting for them and so that they can also get involved. So I'd actually like to see a lot of former Miss South Africa's, current title holders, musicians, poets, and just anybody who has influence actually taking part. It doesn't have to be anything hard because I know a lot of people think getting involved in, talking about the environment, you need to have studied something to do with science or something, but all it takes is just that kind of idea. It's nothing hard. You can get people like Makadzi to sing and, bring this message across in their own culture. So yeah, I feel like if we bring in fun to it, it will actually go a long way. So yeah.
Now, before I let you go, just a quick one. Are there any projects you are currently involved in as far as environmental conservation is concerned?
Yes, I am currently leading a movement called #People Wildlife Environment, which I will be registering in New Zealand. So basically, this movement will be talking about all things environment and how we can actually bring our message across through film. I believe that it is time we as Africans also talk about our climate and how important it is to protect our biodiversity, well, I really like to follow in the footsteps of someone I look up to, and his name is Sir David Attenborough. He's done a lot of films on how much the environment has changed. And yeah, I really want to see my movement doing a lot of films across Africa and the world.
All right, Seneo Perry is an activist for environmental conservation, and she's also a former Miss Earth Botswana. Thank you so much indeed for your time on the agenda today.